46,000 teachers, JSS teachers, and promotion of stagnating teachers as well. Already 51,000 have been promoted. And from this, and CBA, you said the CBA?
CBA and responsibility allowance for those in acting capacity.
Yes.
Yes.
Of these issues, because were these the only issues that the demands that that the teachers were making?
Yeah, including the medical insurance,
yes,
and third-party deductions to be remitted to the institutions that respective institutions for teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So far, the one that will be implemented in 4 months' time is the hiring of JSS teachers as permanent and pensionable teachers.
Okay.
That is in January.
Yes.
But the remaining ones, already the phase 2, the salaries, people have received their salaries.
Yeah.
The responsibility allowances are the ones that are supposed to be backdated and will be paid in arrears. And henceforth, any person in acting capacity will be paid allowances for being in that position.
Okay.
Because our question was, why should you act? You know, when you are appointed as a deputy principal and you cannot assume that office, you will act as forever. Reason, you are in a job group that does not qualify you to become a deputy principal. And when the CBG is being reviewed, we are going to treat and cure all those issues. Now, the people in those capacities, acting capacities, are going to be substantively appointed. And once appointed, now you start earning the salary commensurate to the responsibilities you are performing in school. Before then, they have been acting, nothing has been, they have not been recognized, or no monetary gains for the responsibilities they have been carrying in the schools.
Okay.
So today we are saying, and we are here to say, without contradiction of doubt, they'll start receiving responsibility allowances.
All right.
Yes.
Last week, one of the issues that was also in the papers, because when the teachers went on strike, a lot of issues came up. One of them was that teachers have been listed on CRB. They're unable to pay their loans
because of third-party deductions,
okay,
which I have said the third-party deductions are now hitting the institutions.
Yes.
For example, the SACCOs, they have started receiving their money.
Okay.
The banks, they have started receiving their money. You see, initially, the money is deducted from the teacher's end, but this money is not remitted to the respective institution. Assuming a teacher had a loan at Equity Bank, this loan is pending, is in arrears, not because the teacher is not paid, but because the Teacher Service Commission, the money was deducted, but Treasury did not remit this money to Equity in respect of that loan.
Yes.
So that was part of the issues we were on the streets about.
Yeah.
And that one has been resolved. The monies have started reaching the institution. So no more CRBs, because if the money starts going and it's flowing, your loan is being repaid, then you are able to repay your loan, you are able to borrow, you are able to top it up. At least you are now free to operate normally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in health as well, because also that's another issue. We spoke in depth again last week that when it comes to health services, teachers are not receiving the right medical care.
Sure.
Yes. Has this been resolved? I know it's a process.
It's a process.
Yes.
But part one of it, the thing had collapsed totally.
Yes.
Teachers were being turned away. Today, because last evening, I was able to find out about a teacher. I was following a case at Jocham.
Yes.
And the matter was resolved without any issues. Okay. So the money has been remitted. The hospitals are now being paid, because these hospitals, I was here to tell you that for the last more than 8 months, the insurance owed them millions of money in terms of services they had delivered to teachers, but they had not received. So a majority of these facilities were running broke. As I talk, most of them have been paid. They are paid in quarters. They have been paid their monies, and the thing is up running. The remaining issues that we want to follow now, and this I think will be administrative issues between the insurer and the union and the facilities, are a few issues that go towards the duration of staying in hospital, the issues of approval for you to be admitted. These ones we must follow. These ones are not part of what was on the main. The money has been released.
Yes.
But now we need to have a conversation with the person providing this this insurance to the teachers to also change the ways they are handling teachers in the facilities, because they have given these hospitals very funny conditions of operation, that if a teacher has to be admitted, there is a pre-authorization, and the pre-authorization follows certain steps, and you must treat a teacher who is in admission within this period of time. Those are unethical things that must now be handled between the unions and these providers.
Why do they have such regulations?
Who knows these things? We have fought against these things. They disappear. Then again, within a short time, they come. In my thinking, these guys also wanted to, because they were seeing the money is little, they also wanted to make some profit. That is my thinking. Because I cannot understand a situation where you are limiting the number of days for a patient, and you are limiting from a computer in Nairobi. You are not you are not at the ground. You are not the patient. You don't see the patient eye to eye. You are only saying discharge, take home. You cannot be treated until 24 hours. Those are very unethical things that should not be allowed to continue. And this, I think, we shall clean them up.
There's a question here. Good morning, I'm Frederick. Good morning, Frederick. He's tuned in from Swahili Port Hub Foundation. Please ask Madam Lynette if there is a new funding model for the JSS for the teachers, and if it's a yes, how is it different from the old one?
We do not have a funding model in high schools or primary schools. What we have is the government usually releases money per learner per year, which is around, it used to be 22,000. Again, they had reduced the funding to much less, around 17,000. That is for secondary schools. And this continues. Though it delays, but it is continuing. There is only a funding model in the universities where students are supposed to pay fees depending on the capabilities of parents. And that one is a story for the universities, which is that thing cannot work.
I actually want you to talk about that, because you are a teacher and you're seeing what's happening in the in universities. It's the same way you know what's happening with NAT and now Kupet, but you also know what's happening with the universities. What do you think about this new funding model?
That thing cannot work.
Why?
Because one, they used AI. That is, I want to assume they used AI to put students into certain bands without having gathered the right information about the ability of a parent. As a result, you find that the children from the very needy families have been put in a band where they are supposed to pay 180,000. Yet this person is a vegetable vendor. And then you go next, you find a child of a very well-to-do family has been put in a band where they pay 15,000. And then the people those who are struggling, like even teachers, they've been put in band 5. They are paying over 200 Kenya shillings thousand. The children of the well-to-do are in that lowest band where it's meant to be for orphans and people without ability. So this thing is actually, it's not working. If it has to work, then the government should allow the correct information to be given, to be fed in the system, so that the income of parents can be captured, and then it is fixed in the system, so that the moment your child is there, then automatically your child is placed at the right position. The way it is, the children of the poor will never access university education, particularly the most coveted degrees. The A students who are supposed to be doctors, engineers, architects will never afford it, because it is too expensive. The amounts of money to be paid by parents are too high. The local parent can never afford it. So that thing cannot work. I just wish the president listens to the students and stops making decisions from State House concerning the needy children. Let him make that decision from the ground, where you also allow, and by the way, there was no public participation. I have never participated in this debate. I've educated children in the university, and I know I needed to have also given my input as a teacher, so that when we are dealing with this issue, we are dealing from a point of knowledge. I said here before, the problem with Kenya is decisions are made in offices without involving the stakeholders or the consumers of the decision. And you are likely to get it very wrong if you want to make a decision on my behalf without involving me and expect me to follow and obey that decision. It may not work for me. It's not viable. So we need to change the whole thing. That is why in the Constitution, we insisted and made it clear there should be public participation for every decision that is made in terms of a decision that wants to affect a large number of people. The problem with our leaders in politics, when it comes to public participation, they handpick a few selected people, give them 500 bob, illiterate people who know nothing about what we are talking about, place them in some hall, ask them to sign. They sign documents before these people arrive. After signing the documents, they are given what? And then you are given 500 bob. And then when you come with some tough English these people don't even understand, because if you look at those people, they don't know what you are talking about, so they don't understand. Then they have signed already beforehand, the documents are collected, those things are taken as public participation, and a decision is arrived. I want to give an example using something that affects me so much. Near my house is a plot, and the owner of this house wanted to build a 5 or 6 story building on a very small plot. And we were given some papers for public participation, the neighborhood. We all said no. We gave reasons. To our dismay, the project took off. So we went to find out and establish what happened, because we had public participation. We said no. We found papers in the file of public participations, plot numbers we do not know. Everybody there had said, yes, we have no problem. Ours were thrown. But because this person has ability that we don't have, we are living in problems. We are suffering like that. But I'm the one suffering most. There's nothing I can do about it.
So that's what's happening in the education sector.
That is what is happening in education sector and across board. It's affecting Kenyans. The people who should be giving their views are never heard. Or you give, they're thrown away.
Nafurahia sana vile ambavyo unaweza kuieleza hapo, lakini sasa pia naangalia jana Bi Nancy Mashari alikuwa amesema kwamba kwa sababu mgomo umeweza kusitishwa pia in the interest of the learner. Sasa najaribu kuimagine kuna sijui alitaja kuhusu kucompensate pia ile time ambayo imeweza kutumika. Sijui hapo sasa napo itakuwa ile ya kwamba the learners watakuwa involved, kwamba sasa itabidi pengine tuongeze masaa, pengine tuanze kutumia weekend, ama itakuwaje hapo napo?
Kulingana na sisi, shule hazikufunguliwa.
Naam.
Hazikuwa zimefunguliwa kwa sababu wale walipeleka walikuwa wameamua kutuma watoto wasaidie kusafisha shule na kufanya mambo mengine. Watoto wakirudi shule, sisi walimu tukipewa nafasi yetu tutafanya ile kazi. Kumbuka ni mhula wa 3. Walimu wanajua syllabus wamefikisha wapi. Tutafanya tu kazi yetu vizuri. Wazazi ndio watajua, watakooperate, watoto shule za bweni, watoto wako shule kila siku. Kwa hivyo kutakuwa na muda mwingi asubuhi, muda wa usiku, muda wa Jumamosi, muda wa Jumapili, watakuwa na walimu. Shule za kutwa, wazazi, watoto watakwenda shule vizuri, watasomeshwa, watapewa kazi za kufanya nyumbani, watasoma, walimu watawaangalia, hakuna kitu kitapotea. Naam.
I mean,
tuna uzoefu.
I think I know, Emmanuel, you're trying to understand like what happens to the students, but what we also need to acknowledge is maybe we shouldn't create a habit of one as a parent. I will speak as a parent now.
Yes.
As a parent, I wouldn't want a disgruntled teacher to take care of my child, you know, because I don't know how messy it can be. If I'm unstable and I go to work, that anger, that rage, you know, I spread it around. It's all over the place. So I can imagine my daughter who's in school, and then now this teacher comes home, maybe nyumbaki mefungwa, you know, I mean, the hosi, they cannot be treated. So I think what we need to stop is normalizing the culture of work if you're not paid, work if you're not taken care of. We need to stop normalizing that culture. And unfortunately, we've gotten to a space where you need to strike for you to be able to get your dues, what you're rightly owed.
Sure.
Yeah, that's where the problem is. And I feel like every parent should sit back and say, if this is the teacher who's supposed to be teaching my child and they're not taken care of, how am I supporting this person? Like, how am I supporting this person? We need to stop taking a back seat. Yeah.
Sure. That's what when I was here last time, I said I was lucky to have attended a World Teachers Congress in Argentina, and it's only Africans that were complaining about pay. They didn't have that problem. They were shocked to hear that we are still struggling with governments to pay as well.
Yeah.
According to them, teachers are paid according to their qualifications, irrespective of the learner you teach.
Yes.
I can be a PhD holder, but I'm teaching nursery school children. I have a passion to teach those nursery school.
Yeah.
The governments in those countries do not pay me as a teacher of nursery school, but they pay my qualification. I'm offering service. I'm teaching a learner. So those are the kind of things that are lacking in African countries. In African countries, every worker is struggling for pay. You can imagine the teacher is underpaid and the teacher is not in school.
Yeah.
The teacher goes to hospital. You find the doctor that is not paid. The doctor has abandoned the hospital, is on the streets looking for money. The teacher has abandoned learners. The doctor has abandoned the patient. Who is taking care of the other here?
Yeah.
You come back, you realize that by the end of the day, the university students have been abandoned by their lecturers. Why? They're on the streets. They're looking for money.
Yeah.
So when we talk about a sector of education and a sector of health, we are talking about a situation where in the next 30 years, if this thing keep on going like that, we will have a population or a generation that is illiterate, a generation that is very sick, a collapsed health sector, a collapsed Ministry of Education. We have no country. For us to salvage this, like you say, Miriam, we must stop normalizing wrong things.
Yeah.
We must start calling one another to tables and say, no, we do not want this kind of lifestyle. If we take our power back as Kenyans and stand by it and say we will not listen to anything, our resolve is we must do things the right way. I'm telling you, the few people in offices that are doing the wrong things will stop. The few people who are sitting in offices leading and lording over educated and they are not educated, they have to be removed. Why should I suffer as a graduate with clean documents to be loaded over by a person with that forged document sitting in an office and being my boss? It can never work. We must change the way we do things.
Yeah. There needs to be an overhaul of everything. I feel like in every sector.
Yeah.
We have said a lot, and questions are just cropping up because
Yeah.
you've talked about an ECD teacher, what they get paid, and from that stage, it's very volatile.
Yeah.
Whatever a child is
formative
taught,
stage.
yes, it's it's volatile. And I do not understand why the person who's taking care of a child, at mostly like 2 years, 3 years, that's the person who's teaching them speech. They're understanding a lot of things. Why that person gets paid less?
They are paid peanuts. In public schools, and parents are very funny. You are entrusting the future of your child to a teacher you are paying 50 shillings. When they are told, bring money, like they pay 500 or 1,000 per term. You can imagine 1,000 per term. They don't want to pay. They are wondering, kwani nursery school, mtoto mdogo huyu nalipia fee ya nini? Why don't you then keep your child at home and educate your child or do homeschooling? Those who are doing homeschooling are now running. They are mad because they have realized they have raised children who can never fit anywhere in this society.
Yeah.
The children cannot fit into any proper society or where they can work.
Yeah.
Why are we underrating parents? This is a very serious conversation to parents.
Yeah.
For me, people have always asked me, as a teacher, do you take your children to private schools? I said no. I am a consumer of government.
Yeah.
I was brought up by a teacher. I learned in public schools. public universities. My own children, I've taken them through public institutions to the universities. I do not tolerate private schools. I want my children to learn the right way, because I know in a government school, there is the trained, qualified personnel I'm looking for. There is the ability to have my child. I can track who is teaching my child.
Yes.
I know this child is being taught by a teacher. If it's a primary school, this is a graduate of a teacher's training college. In a high school, I'm so certain this is a graduate of a university. And my children are getting quality. At the end of the day, I thank God so far. For those that have gotten out of university,
Yes.
I can see these are people who can work. They dedicate their time. But if I start looking down upon my teacher who teaches my child at nursery school, then I would miss it.
That's true.
I would miss it.
Thank you so much, Lynette.
Welcome.
So nice having you every single time. Again, we learn and we grow and we make better decisions. This is Swahili Pot Breakfast Club. It is 9 on the dot. DJ Kams, uko tayari? All right. In a bit, we will have it's Tech Tuesday. So we're going to talk about what's happening in a world of tech, what's trending, what do you need to buy, what do you need to stay away from. But also we'll be talking about cyberbullying. You have had an experience. If you have had an experience of being bullied online, what is it? 0700917917. Do talk to us. DJ Kams.
Swahili Pot 91.7 FM Mombasa.